Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to the library tour of Doom, a library tour of all of my books, book by book, not shelf by shelf, not bookcase by bookcase, and not subject by subject, but book by book. It was the brainchild of Lord Ganesha, but I have no place for Lord Ganesha in this filming location, except, as always, in my heart. So I'm hoping that a certain other supernatural deity will do for you in the background. Is the one of you emailed me the other day and asked what I need to do to train Frida to behave the way she does. I have never trained Frida or any of my other dogs. I don't train my dogs at all. I'm not even all that much of a fan of it. But I certainly don't need to train a 10-pound dog. There's nothing that Frida's ever going to do that's ever going to bother anybody, especially since she has no aggression, she has no fear, she has no territoriality except for mice. So basically somebody was asking, what do you do to make her act so cute? She acts cute on her own. I don't have to do a thing. What are you doing? What are you doing? Huh? What are you doing? Are you licking something up there? You're going to have to sub for Lord Ganesha. Okay? Can you be a supernatural being? My tiny little Anubis will be a supernatural being for now, while we deal with the library tour of Doom just for today, until I can figure out the aspects of this setup that need to be figured out, if any of them do. And the book that I wanted to show you today is a tiny little thing from a tiny little press that was only ever meant to be just stuck in your pocket and taken out when you need a quick refresher. And that's exactly how I use it. I don't set it up. It's not critical in any way. I don't set it up as anything like that. I just take it out when I need a quick little breather. It's this cute little thing. The Odes of Keats and Shelley. This was made by the Peter Pauper Press in Mount Vernon, New York. This little hardcover was $1 when it was made, but it doesn't even have I don't think it has publication information in it at all. So I'm wondering if it wasn't just privately done. This volume is set in Baskerville types and printed on specially made paper. It is designed, printed, and published at the office of the Peter Pauper Press, Mount Vernon, New York. And that's all you have. That's all there is to it. It's just odes in a lovely setting. There is no internal art. There's the Ode to Apollo. There is no internal art, no nothing like that. A very, very no-nonsense thing. You get the Odes of Keats, then you get the Odes of Shelley. No annotations, no historical introductions, no nothing of any kind. Just a little book of these poems. And they are unfailingly lovely. They are bottomlessly wonderful. And you don't need any critical apparatus to really enjoy the beauty of their language. Critical apparatus does help a lot with understanding what was going through the minds of these authors, but you don't need it. And recently I did the Moody book tag, and one of the questions in there is, do you jump straight from book to book, or do you need some sort of a palate cleanser? And I do need a palate cleanser, but my palate cleanser is books, is always books, unless I read something that just absolutely infuriates me. It'll never be the opposite. It'll never be something that just overjoys me. If I read a book that absolutely infuriates me, where I read it and think this is going to reach people and it is so seriously bad or so seriously wrong. In a case like that, going straight to another book with those kind of emotions is not fair to the other book. So in a case like that, I will just, over the decades, I have just bolted up, thrown the book down, and said, who's up for a nice walk? And almost always there have been people nearby who were willing to do that. I was a little bit out of luck. When my 2 previous dogs were old and sick, I would sometimes read a book like that, and I would hurl it down to the floor, and then I would say, who's up for a nice long walk? And they weren't. They didn't want to do it. But the Bean is always up for a nice long walk. Aren't you, baby? She's always up to go out and yell at people. I try to make a genuine dog out of her. I try to get her interested in the wilderness, in chipmunks and squirrels and grass and trees. She would much rather walk around in the suburban neighborhoods up on the hill. These lovely little houses and very friendly people, just cul-de-sacs and little curves of hedgerows everywhere. She would much rather do that and meet humans. Because that's her favorite thing to do, is to meet a human. So we'll be walking by somebody's driveway, and they'll be unpacking their groceries, and she will stand there stiffly, and then she'll make her weird little noise. She has this noise that's like a yodel. It's not barking, but it's not really howling either. It's something in between. It sounds like the sound that a toy would make. And that is her telling them that they are unpacking their groceries wrong, that they're digging the garden wrong, that they're running the hose wrong. And when they stop, when she's done reprimanding them, the Shijin scuttles up to them to be petted and cooed and kissed. But how did I get on the subject? Oh, yes, right. When a book absolutely infuriates me, like, for instance, Ibrahim X. Kendi's book, How to Be an Anti-Racist, absolutely infuriated me. I've seldom known a more, in recent years, in the 21st century, a more consciously, knowingly evil book than that, where it's not that the author is propounding crap that he doesn't understand, it's that he knows what he's doing. But it's something like that where the book is lodged in me and I need to walk it out. Then I don't go from book to book as a palate cleanser, but that's rare. Most of the time I do, and most of the time it's to little things like this, where I will finish a book, I will put it down. Like, for instance, I just finished the advanced copy of a big biography of a Supreme Court justice, and it was heady going. It was uphill going, and it wasn't all that good either. It wasn't all that enjoyable. And when I was done, I definitely wanted a palate cleanser, and just went looking on my shelves for something that isn't exhaustive, that is a perfect way to just set the balances again. And I've used this book for that many times. In fact, I have gone to this book. I've pulled this book down off the shelf for that reason. I hate to say this because the poetry fans out there, if Keats and Shelley have any fans anymore, I don't know that they do, but I hate to say this because if they do have fans, they're going to howl in outrage. But I more often pull this book down for that reason, to just slowly, appreciatively reread Ode to a Nightingale, than I pull down my scholarly, annotated, collected poetry of either one of these people. More often than not, I use these poems for that, which doesn't do them justice. It doesn't give them the full range of their brilliance, but nevertheless, the heart wants what the heart wants. So that's your book today for the Library Tour of Doom. It's the Odes of Keats and Shelley. It's a little copy from a tiny press. Don't know that you would ever see this at your used bookstore. I got it at the Brattle, and at the Brattle Bookshop here in Boston, and I got it at the Brattle as a result of meticulous combing through books outside. The Brattle has an enormous sale lot outside, thousands of books of all shapes and sizes. And the only way you're going to spot something like this is if you're squatting down on your haunches, going book by book by book by book. If you're just glancing at the cards, you'll never see this. And I have found such treasures over the decades by doing that. But you don't always have the time or the inclination. So I found this. I have no idea if this was ever generally for sale to the public. I have no idea if this was ever in bookstores. I tend to think not. It doesn't have an ISBN, doesn't have any kind of publication material, and it's got the price of $1 just stamped on it right there. So I don't know that this was ever out there in the world, but I'm very happy to have it. So that is your Library Tour of Doom for today. I intentionally picked a small book, a little palate cleanser of a book, because this is kind of a placeholder for the Library Tour of Doom until I can figure out how we're going to film it for the rest of time. if it's not really the Library Tour of Doom without Lord Ganesha, then I'll have to find a way to have him in these videos. I don't think the Bean would appreciate that, but you never know. When warm weather hits, the filming location I think is going to change anyway. So one way or another, I wanted to make sure the Library Tour of Doom did not die. So I've revived it, but I'm going to end it there for now. But I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.